You know what the difference is between a $5 billion algorithm and my mother? The algorithm would never do what I'm about to show you. My mother died recently. She couldn't read, she couldn't write. She never touched a computer, never heard the word algorithm. She lived in a single room in south central India in a place called Secunderabad. And I spent 25 years at Walmart, Walt Disney Company, Coca Cola, PepsiCo, building AI systems that move product worth billions of dollars across continent. I own 207 patents and helped generate 5 billion in revenue for the world's largest retailer. And I'm here to tell you something that's going to make a lot of people in Silicon Valley very uncomfortable. My mother knew something about intelligence that every AI researcher on the planet has forgotten. And if we don't rediscover what she knew, we would be building gods without souls. My name is Shekhar Natarajan, and this is my Oxford Talk. Let me tell you about Margaret, a 73-year-old woman living on a fourth floor apartment with no elevator. I used to deliver groceries to Margaret. She went to Denver Health Emergency every Tuesday at 7 p.m. The algorithm saw exactly what it was trained to see. Patient number 4471892. A frequent flyer. She was flagged for care management intervention. It's a very fancy word and a hospital code for how do we make her stop coming. Nobody asked why Tuesday. Nobody noticed Tuesday was 6 days after she received the Social Security check. It was in the amount of $1,415 a month, $875 in rent, $200 in groceries, and $340 in prescription drugs. She was cutting her heart medication in half, and by Tuesday, her body would revolt. Doctors saw non-compliance. Administrators saw an expensive pattern. Insurance companies saw a cost center. But unfortunately, nobody saw Margaret. And I know this pattern because I built systems like this. I built a supply chain system at Walmart that could predict disruptions with 99% accuracy. Hurricanes, we knew about it. Port delays, we could handle flawlessly. Consumer spikes, it was like a child's play. But you know what it couldn't predict? That Margaret was choosing between medicines and meals. I grew Walmart's grocery business from $30 million to $5 billion in 18 months. And one morning, I woke up and realized I had built the most efficient system for ignoring human dignity that the world has ever seen. Let me tell you what keeps me up at night. In 5 years, maybe 10, AI is going to make decisions about who gets the treatment, who gets hired, who gets a loan, who gets believed. And you know what the most craziest thing is going to be? It's going to also decide who gets to live. And these systems are going to be optimized the exact same way I optimize the supply chain systems for efficiency, for cost, for throughput. Not for justice, not for dignity, not for love. And the AI will see patterns. It will predict the outcomes. It will allocate resources with extraordinary amount of mathematical precision. And it will do all of this without ever asking the one question my mother asked me every single day of her life. But is this right? Because for her, should we was more important than can we. Every morning at 4 a.m., I paint. I paint the traditional Indian painting. I've been painting my mother's hands every single morning since she's died. In every single image I draw, I encapsulate her soul and her wisdom. See, when my mother had 1 cup of rice left and my neighbor had none, she didn't optimize. She didn't calculate the expected utility. She did not run a cost benefit analysis. She gave the rice bowl away. Every economist would call this irrational. Every AI system would call that suboptimal. Every optimization function would flag it as an error. My mother called it Tuesday. And here's what's wrong with artificial intelligence: not the bias, not the hallucination, not the alignment problem. The problem is we are building gods without a heart and a soul. We take everything humans have ever written, the brilliant and the terrible, the wise and the destructive, and we teach these machines just one thing: predict the next word. We optimize for accuracy, not wisdom, coherence, not conscience, engagement, not enlightenment. Then, only then, after we have built an engine of pure capability, we try to bolt on ethics on the top. Guardrails, safety layers, fine tuning, all the things you hear about are all after the fact. But here's the truth nobody wants to hear: you cannot add soul to something after you have built it without one. It is like teaching an infant what virtue is after they have become an adult. What I'm building, I call it angelic intelligence. Not AI with ethics bolted on. Intelligence where virtue is the architecture. Instead of training on predictions and adding virtue later, we train on virtue and add predictions later. Instead of optimizing for efficiency within ethical constraints, we do it differently. We optimize for human well being and let efficiency emerge. Angelic intelligence is built on 27 distinct virtues. These are called digital angels, each embodying specific virtue: compassion, justice, courage, wisdom, patience, temperance, hope, not as separate modules, as an integrated consciousness where virtue isn't enforced, it's emergent. The way a child is raised with love doesn't need rules to be kind, because kindness is the operating system. Remember that cup of rice? My mother didn't have a philosophy degree. She couldn't articulate what she knew. But she had something more profound. She had the doctorate of kindness. She understood the algorithm of life. Current AI architecture says maximize X subject to the constraint Y. And my mother's algorithm was very simple. Does this serve human dignity? Yes or no? Everything else is just math at the end of the day. We are at a crossroads. And unlike the movies, there's no rewind button. One path: AI that makes us more efficient at being cruel. Systems that optimize us into irrelevance, that treat human beings as a bug in an algorithm. And the other path is far more profound and very different: AI that makes us capable of being fully human, that amplifies wisdom instead of replacing judgment. Instead of speed, it focuses on love. And that's the choice. My mother's last words to me were in Tamil. They translate roughly to whatever you're trying to build, make sure it loves people. Not serves people, but loves people. She wasn't being very poetic. She was giving me the algorithm. Every morning at 4 a.m., when I paint her hands, I'm not decorating a canvas. I'm writing the code. I'm writing the code for what good humans do. And I refuse to build gods without souls. Tomorrow, today. With love, not speed.